out of it. Generally, in our average, this is a bit lower side. So company needs to come up and do a good homework as well, and to give us the entire perspective also. But with us would be Sushil Suri. He is the chairman and MD at Morpen Labs. An interesting trivia about him. He has over 30 years of experience in pharma industry, and no, he doesn't have a pharma backing. He's a qualified CNM fellow member ICA. Imagine someone running a pharma company and he's a chartered accountant. It's a very deadly combo of man wearing different hats. And of course, joining us would be Sushil Suri. Good afternoon, Sushil ji. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. This 825 crore order, that's what the street has got excited, about the company. Just could you give us the details, by when the money starts coming in, timelines?
Sharad, thank you very much for giving an opportunity to speak on this platform. So basically, this first mandate from a regulated market is just beginning of the new positioning of the company. So company had been quietly working with multiple regulatory customers. And of course, the idea was to get a more structured customer program instead of a spot business, which we had learned over a period of time. But now, with all the regulatory skills, with all the, I would say, whether QC or infrastructure or patents or DMF, with all the knowledge, whatever we had acquired, we have been able to get the validation from a multinational, and that too for a long-term supply contract. And these type of things this is just a first order from one customer, and we expect the pipeline to grow as we continue. So this is a big change for the company, and I'm happy to see that, okay, the people are also responding. We're getting good feedback from the customers and suppliers everywhere.
And Sushil, just to dig deeper, this is first of many. That's what I'm trying to gauge from your commentary. If it is first from many, can we expect something more? And if yes, anything in the next 1 or 2 quarters, any large announcements coming in? Because it's clearly looking like that CDMO pipeline is something which the company is focusing on.
Yes, Sharad, basically CDMO, naturally, these are very long-term programs. And these involve a lot of regulatory, chemistry, and of course, infrastructure discussion. And of course, at the end of the day, there are commercial discussions. So I will not say that it is coming tomorrow, and the pipeline is not built overnight. So even this first order has taken a couple of quarters to see the light of the day. So certainly, but what the major thing you have to understand is that CDMO programs are not spot programs like our quarterly results. So big companies, they work for long-term supply chains, they work for resilience, they want stability, and of course, they want continuity. So with the global scenario, which is being realigned to adjust to the fluctuations which are happening globally, so we have been able to fit ourselves into the customer's thing. No doubt that there are geopolitical things, but ultimately it's the compliance. So we have been compliant, and we had good experience in manufacturing, good experience in regulatory, good experience in handling the FDA queries. So we have, I would say, we have been validated. That's only I would say. So I won't say much more to come, when to come, but we have taken a new track now.
Exactly, but your smile says something else, but we'll come to that later on that. But the numbers, let's talk about numbers. You're a man of numbers also, apart from pharma. And the margins I'm talking about, it's back to its long-term average. That's that 9.5% ka margin, which everybody talks about. You're back at it. Now, why did these margins go up? What are the levers going ahead? And by when we can see that 10% margin touching?
Sharad, the last couple of years, of course, we all know that global things were not in anybody's control, and we have been trying to readjust our revenue mix. So the whatever revenue mix we had, certainly we had to work within that. But going forward, obviously, we are changing the quality of the revenues. And once the revenue quality shifts from a spot business to a long-term customer-driven programs, which are more structured, then we get better visibility of supplies, we get better visibility of revenues, and of course, we get better visibility of the cost also. So that way, I would say the margins is least to the worry today. Today, the worry is to build a long-term pipeline of the stable business, which we had been pursuing for the longer time, but obviously for some reason, it took longer than usual. So we are looking much more opportunities in the business of long-term supply contract, which certainly the margin profile will be much better. And you are in the industry, so you know what kind of margin profile these CDMO companies enjoy.
Exactly, and maybe a little bit of internal efficiencies come in and we can see the double digit mark. But Sushilji, let's talk about the European Union business. There is a decent, a sizable chunk of revenue coming from that segment. Now, why I'm talking about this is very simple. There's an FTA which is already done with the European Union. And a lot of benefits come in the pharma space also. We'll talk about medical devices a bit later, but just want to get your view on it, how the business has changed. Has the supply chain management changed? Are the inquiries coming more from Europe? Because that's the market which I'm really liking right now. So your view on that, what's happening with Mopen with that?
That way, I would say, Sharad, the European Union had been our always a favorite market, and of course, we have good presence in most of the countries, and it constitutes around 20 to 25% of the total export business. But what we see lately is that there is a better confirmations. Whenever the deals were in transit or these were in discussions, so we always had to fight with, I would say, compete with China. So I'm not specifically saying China, but in general. But now with this deal coming through, there's a clear advantage India has got versus China. So we have 11% better margins as compared to China. I would say tariff margins. So that way the customers are seeing that. More importantly is that after FTA is being signed now everything is in place. So uncertainty is over. And like I told earlier, the customers are looking for more term relationship, long-term relationships and more structured programs. So that is what is now helping us. So when we have uncertainties, and might have seen in other businesses also, uncertainties are in nobody's benefit. So what this deal has done is that, okay, it is giving a stability to our thoughts, it's giving a stability to the vendor or to the buyer and even to the vendor.
Okay.
So this is happy news for all of us.
Exactly.
And 11%
Yes,
advantage.
right. So uncertainty is something which, nobody likes. And if certainty comes, business also comes. But just to get in more details about the export segment, now if the global trade certainty is slowly coming in, right now you're having around 60 to 62% of revenue from India. 3 साल के बाद, now what happens? The export profile or the domestic profile, does it change from 60 to 40 currently, let's put it, or is it becoming 50-50? What's the number?
To put the things right straight, in API, our 70% of the business comes from export, and the devices, of course, is 99% domestic only. So within the API business, today export is 70%. Going forward, I would say it may go to 80% in 3 years' time, because with this long-term CDMO programs, our exposure to the global regulated market should increase. And of course, we have limited resources and limited capacity. So we will have to let go some of the low yielding business in the domestic market. So that's one aspect. Second, of course, is that as we go for the longer term contracts, we may have to add, I mean, whatever new business will come from that will come from this angle. So overall export profile will go up.
All right, let's talk about a little bit about the numbers also, Sushilji, and then of course we'll talk about medical devices also. The numbers I'm looking at, the short-term debt has ballooned up. Is this a working capital requirement, or is there some adjustment? Just want to get a little bit of clarity here.
Sure. As you know that for last 25 years, we have been a zero debt company. So this was one of the, I would say, planning of the company, that we do not have any banking arrangements with most, for last 25 years, we have been operating like a small scale company in current accounts. So we had retained one banker last year. And of course, it was a bit higher cost. So now we are replacing the high cost debt with the low cost debts. So of course, there's a
right. And Sushilji, what will be the interest rate dates of this high cost and the low cost, if you could share?
The high cost was around 11.5 to begin with. Of course, we are negotiating with them also. Then the new rates are between 7.5, 8.
Okay,
so there's a 3%. So
exactly. That means if this happens, the finance cost comes down, and maybe we get a PAT bump up also in the coming quarters as well. Am I right?
It's nominal, though we do not have a large debt stack. Okay. So we just, I would say, on a 2,000 crore asset base, or on a revenue base, we just have around 140 crore debt, which is nominal. But the whole idea is to build efficiencies. And as you would see, if we have a 800 crore order in hand, We need to prepare ourselves for the inventory, stocking, and of course, there has to be some capacity balancing, which we are evaluating because commitment higher levels are required. This is a serious business. We need to be having serious commitments here also.
Exactly. As a student of a pharma sector, I just want to ask you one simple question. This entire CDMO play you talk about long-term story, it is there. So it's like what, 4 year, 5 year, the R&D comes in, everything comes in with approvals. What's the total timeline looks like for a long-term order? Since you already got one, you have given us 12 to 16 months on the exchange filing. But as an industry expert, how much time does it take to actually go from, start to finish?
I would say usually the cycle for our kind of industry, we are not in CRO. There is a difference between CRO and CDMO. CRO is more research oriented, so there it sometimes take 3 to 5 years because the product is still not in the pipe, is not evolved, not commercialized, and small quantities are there. So we are coming as a CDMO. We have got tons and tons of capacity. So we are, I would say, more closer to the market delivery. So typical period would be, I would say, 15 to 18 months to from beginning to end to get the order. And of course, to supply the order is another thing. So we come as a player which have ready-made capacities available, FDA approved. Many of the CROs or even I would say research companies whom these regulated companies work, they do not have capacities. They offer
Right,
just a package. They
right,
make dossier and they say, okay, this is the 5 gram dossier and this is what it is, or they can
right,
give you one sample.
right,
So if
Sushilji.
someone wants just say 100 tons of
Right.
material, you can supply that.
Right, Sushil, you have given us a good industry perspective also and cleared a lot of doubts also of our viewers. Thank you very much for tuning in and giving all your answers to the company and the industry as well. Of course, we spoke about the management and the company's growth strategies and long-term investors' patience has been tested in this stock. But remember, the company might be going under an inflection. First time they've got a CDM order that big size. So if that happens, maybe a good up move might happen in the future, but we need to see whether the company delivers numbers or not. So that's all, folks, from Open Labs and KYC today. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit.